Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the 2020 Oshkosh United Spring Meeting. My name is Matt Callahan. I'm the Director of Coaching of the Oshkosh United Soccer Club. I'll kick off the first part of the presentation, and then you'll hear from Sarah Noe, who's our club president. Let's start off by talking about the current status of the programming. At this time, due to the unprecedented pandemic that we're going through, we're in a little bit of a wait and see pattern. At this point, we're expecting more information to come out from the Wisconsin Youth Soccer Association around May 1st. And then our local league, the East Central Soccer District, they'll be convening shortly after that. And after those meetings happen, we hope to have a bit more information in regards to what the game plan is going to be in regards to a league season for our state league and our East Central teams. We have a few different options depending upon what's decided by our leagues. The first option would just be a delay in the season. Depending upon when we're allowed to return to play, we could have a season that begins in mid to the end of June, and then it would carry through July. Another option with that, depending on when we're able to go through, there has been discussion of having a July-only season. So we're currently seeking feedback from our membership in regards to how many games would we have to play in order to really consider that a season, and that will help us decide how we move forward with that as well. Another option, if we're not able to have an official league season, would be to do some events with other local clubs. So we could do some training amongst our teams, and then we could set up scrimmages against other local clubs, such as Nina, for example. Another option, if travel and games against other clubs isn't advised, would be simply to just do everything within our own club. We have several teams at a lot of different age groups, so we could easily have our teams train and then just scrimmage against some other Oshkosh United teams. Yet another option would be to have camp-style training in which players could just sign up as an individual, come and get some training, and then we could do some scrimmages at the end of those camps. And then the last option, and I certainly hope it doesn't come to this, but the last option would be if we can't do anything at this time, we would just look to resume in the fall. With any of these options, obviously, it's going to largely depend upon the current status of the pandemic. But I guess rest assured, as a club, we're prepared to adapt quickly into whatever we can do safely to provide a soccer experience for all of our members of the Oshkosh United Soccer Club. During this time, we are going to look for some ways that we can keep our players engaged. We've sent out some emails with some core over ball work, which has some kind of ball skill things that players can do at home. Certainly, I've gotten outside in the backyard a little bit with my family, and we've played some 2-on-2 pickup games. Maybe you have a little pop-up goal. Otherwise, you could throw out some backpacks, some shoes. You can make a goal with, so any household items you have laying down, just toss something down, decide upon the rules, and off you're playing. If you're an older player that's interested in college soccer, you could make a player profile. If you're interested in that, please reach out to tryouts@oshkoshunited.com, and we can send some information about how to do that. We're going to be sending out some videos on some different core work and fitness activities you can do, and some yoga activities you can do. We'll be sending that out shortly. You can watch some old soccer games, look for some different tactical decisions that are being made, observe the skills that are being used. We are planning on doing some live Zoom camps, and we're going to send along some suggested activities to do as well. My suggestion, my hope is that you can find something to do during this time. I've read about the Corona gap in terms of, if some players sit around and do nothing, and some players get out and they're staying active and staying engaged. They're worried about a large gap forming between various groups of players. So depending on your situation and how much time you have, I'd certainly hope that you can get out there and do something. So that way we're staying engaged and we're continuing to develop and move forward with our skill set. We've been moving forward with some professional development for our coaches. Each week, we're holding some webinars with different topics. We have a little presentation to the coaches and then a discussion. So our coaches are out here developing, improving, and getting better throughout this time. So again, hopefully you can take this as an opportunity as well to get out in the backyard, the garage, the basement, wherever you have space to stay engaged and continue to improve as well throughout this time. We've also been having discussions on when we do return, how do we keep our players safe? What can we do to make sure we're in the safest environment possible? Luckily, we have some staff members, such as Chris Guido, for example, that have some ties into the health industry. They've gotten a lot of training, and we're able to tap into their knowledge, and they're able to provide feedback on what we can do to stay safe as well. So Chris Guido, shout out to Chris Guido, shout out to Isaiah Tate, who's been able to provide some resources as well. Those guys, it's been great to get feedback on things we can do. So just a couple ideas we've thought about so far. We'll have hand sanitizer and disinfecting wipes provided to the teams. We'll encourage the players to use hand sanitizer before, during, and after practices and games to prevent the spread of any type of illness, quite frankly. The disinfecting wipes, we'll look to use those in the soccer balls or are commonly touched surfaces to prevent the spread of any viruses or germs as well. Another practice we're going to look at is not sharing pennies or practice vests. More information to come on that later. We anticipate there might be some changes to some activities within a game to increase social distancing. For example, perhaps not shaking hands after the game. And if we do have a league season, our league has said that they will be flexible with allowing game cancellations if circumstances warrant that. In regards to tryouts, we are expecting a delay as to when tryouts will occur. The timing of when tryouts will occur, quite frankly, that will be based upon CDC guidelines and when the Wisconsin Youth Soccer Association provides us our tryout window. Typically, they give us a few-week window of when we can hold tryouts, so I'm sure they'll be updating that window based upon the CDC guidelines. We do anticipate that being pushed back, though, into either most likely into July or perhaps even early August, depending upon the decisions that are made by the CDC and Wisconsin Youth Soccer. As soon as we get that information, we'll send that out. And again, when we do have tryouts, obviously we're going to be looking at how can we make this situation environment as safe as possible. Again, we will not have players share tryout pennies this year. We'll come up with some other mechanisms for identifying players that allow us not to do that. We'll have hand sanitizer. We're looking at creating some hand washing stations. And if we have to limit our group sizes, we'll certainly limit our group sizes and adapt as we're required to do so. I'd like to take a quick moment to highlight our new URL, our United Rec League director, Matt Springborn. The United Rec League is our program for U6 and U8 soccer players that are looking to get into soccer for the first time. You can find a lot more information about the URL on our website if you go to oshkoshunited.com and you can click on Rec to get information on our United Rec League. Matt has a lot of previous coaching experience. He's been a member of the club for a long time. He's had his kids go through the club. So he was a great candidate to have join as our United Rec League director. Matt's going to be able to be on site for all of our URL events. So he'll be able to provide some embedded coaching development. He'll help oversee our program and ensure that everything is going on exactly as we would hope with our youngest soccer players. With the URL programming and our academy programming, those would fall under the same category of the CDC guidelines. As soon as we hear of when we can start those programs, we would look to adapt our schedule and start them as soon as we're safely able to do so. So, welcome to Matt Springborn. Thanks for joining the coaching staff. And to all the soccer families out there, we're hoping we have a lot of flexibility with our rec program because it's just within ourselves. So we'll look to push that back and start it safely whenever we can. But if you know of anyone that's looking for a recreational soccer experience, registration is still open on our website, and you can head there whenever to do that. So I'm going to sign off here. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any questions about the coaching or playing aspect, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at any point. My contact information is on the website. Otherwise, I'm sure you've gotten a whole bunch of emails from me. Sorry about that. But at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our club president, Sarah Noe.
Thank you, Matt. As Matt previously introduced me, I am Sarah Noe, your club president. So where do we go from here? What happens if we play a modified season? In the event we're able to play something of a season, whether it be practice and games only, no tournaments, or recreational only, we will communicate with all our club families to give them a better idea of what spring may look like and the costs involved. And what happens if we don't play spring at all? I'm sure most of us agree that would be worst case scenario. We will do everything we can to offer our club families something this spring summer. However, we also have to be realistic. So in the event of spring cancellation, we will offer the following options. Spring-only players may have their registration fees and spring season fees rolled over to next year or may request a refund. Those players playing both fall and spring may have their spring season fees rolled over to next year or may request a refund. Please note any refunds could take time and they will be adjusted by any applicable processing fees incurred by the club, such as credit card fees or Demisphere fees. As some of you may have already heard, the Oshkosh on the Water Soccer Classic has indeed been canceled for this season. There was just so much going on and everything was so uncertain. The tournament committee wanted to be responsible and notify their vendors, the attendees, and of course our club families early enough so that we could all make adjustments. You might be wondering how you can offer feedback. If you did complete our election ballot/survey, I thank you. However, for those of you who have not yet had a chance, we do have a feedback portion on that ballot, and we have removed the election portion. It's going to provide us guidance from our club families as to what they are looking for spring, summer, assuming we're able to provide it. We did not want to make decisions only with our own thoughts. We wanted to make sure we are taking how you guys feel about the current conditions. So if you have not completed that survey, I ask that you do that as soon as possible, as it will allow us to make decisions that hopefully give us all something that we're looking for in this spring, summer season. Now, how can we help as a club? I think our number one way is going to be financial. We know many of our club families are indeed facing financial uncertainty. We always try to keep our fees low, but we will make that extra effort this coming year to still provide a quality soccer program, but keeping our financial expenditures in mind. And I do want to remind you, we do have a scholarship program available to provide financial assistance with season fees for families with financial hardships. We also understand that not everything is financial. Sometimes you just need support, understanding, and we know that with so much uncertainty, a lot of our club families just want to get back to normal. We are here to answer any questions or concerns moving forward. We understand some families would start tomorrow if they could, and we also know many of you have lots of apprehension. Please communicate your concerns with us. I did want to touch base a little bit on where our fees do go. We have two main fees. They're going to be our registration fees and then our season fees. Our registration fees, I would say, are essentially the main fees that are going to happen every year, whether we have one season or two. You might consider them our overhead costs. As you can see, we have club-related coaching expenses, just under 40%. Our league fees are 25%. Our administrative, which includes marketing, website, our accounting software programs, that's about 20 or so percent, and then facilities fees. Again, I want to remind everyone that these fees are going nowhere. So for a whole soccer year, whether we play one season or two, we are still incurring and paying for these expenses. We also have elite season fees here. They're going to be pretty similar to the classic fees, which will be in the next slide. 50% or so is coaching. That goes to our coaches and coaching related expenses. We also have a league application fee to apply to state league. We have our tournament allowance, team rep FRVs, team snap, field costs, ref fees, and then coach travel. Again, our classic season fees, they're very similar. They just don't have the application fees for playing in state. We have the coaching, and everything else is pretty much aligned with that of the elite fees. With these tough times, we also have to look to see whatever we can do to support our sponsors who have supported us in the past in various items. I do want to take time to thank last year's URL program sponsors, which you'll find here. This year's Academy program sponsors. And then, of course, this year's winter training program sponsors. Sometimes we don't always have an opportunity to use the services of these businesses, but if you ever have an opportunity to simply thank them for what they've done for us in the past, we would really appreciate it. We know this next year is going to be extremely trying for sponsorships, so we really do appreciate our sponsors who have supported us in the past. And of course, that goes without saying, all the sponsors that we had for our tournament over the last few years. If you happen to know any of our tournament sponsors, please support them in any way that you can. I would like to remind everyone that we do continue to have club sponsor balls. They are $30 each and available in size 4 and size 5. And I did want to thank our sponsor for those balls, Quant Plumbing and Rocky Rococos. If anyone is looking for a soccer ball for their players, they do live with me at work, so I can have them available for you in quick order for pickup. So once we get through all the sponsors of the past, we understand it's going to be extremely difficult for our sponsors this coming year. So I do ask if anyone would like to be a sponsor for the 2021 soccer year. Please send me an email at sponsor@oshkoshunited.com. I do want to make sure I give opportunities to those who continue to want to sponsor us, but I also am very aware that many of our sponsors are having a really tough time. There is one sponsorship opportunity I do want to put out there for anyone who might be interested. In the idea of keeping our players safe, we are looking at personal reversible pennies for the players to have for the year, and that will allow not sharing pennies, and we would likely use these for tryouts as well as for the season for practice. So if you are interested in sponsoring the reversible pennies for this year, again, please send me an email at sponsor@oshkoshunited.com. Now we're at the portion of our meeting where we will announce our board of director elections. As most of you know, we had 2 positions open. The first position was for secretary, And I would like to welcome back Erica Palmer as our current and future secretary for the club. Along those lines, I would like to welcome to our board Ken Wertman in the position of vice president. So welcome both of you. I did want to remind everyone that we do continue to have social media opportunities that will allow you to follow, see the latest news, events, highlights. There's not as much going on as there is typically during a season or when we're not all consumed with the what ifs. But we do have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and there's a lot of great highlights that we offer on those channels. We don't always want to send emails to our club families simply because it bombards you, but this way you can go when it's convenient to see what we have going on. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, we ask that you send an email to either Matt at OshkoshUnited.com or to myself, Sarah Noe at OshkoshUnited.com. I do want to thank all of you for watching our spring meeting. I hope you all continue to stay safe and healthy, and I hope to see you on the sidelines soon.